The sky didn't just darken, it ruptured. A jagged wound of crimson light split the clouds, bleeding across the skyline as if the heavens themselves had been torn open. Black lightning speared downward, striking the Hudson with a hiss that boiled the water. The air thickened, vibrating with a low, primal growl that seemed to come from everywhere at once. People froze mid-stride, their instincts screaming before their minds could catch up. And then the shadow fell, vast, deliberate, and hungry. It emerged from the rift like a nightmare given form. 200 feet of muscle and armor, its gorilla-like frame plated in obsidian ridges that caught the red light and threw it back in jagged flashes. Veins of molten crimson pulsed beneath the surface, each beat sending a ripple of heat into the air. Its eyes glowed like twin furnaces, scanning the city with the predator's patience. When it landed, the pavement cracked in spiderweb patterns, and a shockwave rattled windows for blocks. Superman was already in motion, a streak of blue and red cutting through the upper atmosphere. He slowed only as he reached the edge of the rift, hovering for a fraction of a second to take in the creature's scale. His gaze swept over it, reading energy signatures, mapping weaknesses, but the data was wrong. The thing's biology was a fusion of flesh and machine, its power signature shifting like a living storm. Below, Spider-Man swung into view, his web line catching on the corner of a high-rise as he arced toward the chaos. He landed lightly on a streetlight, mask tilted upward, watching the monster's every move. His fingers flexed over his web shooters, but his mind was already running calculations. Distance, velocity, potential anchor points. Big guy, he muttered to himself. And I'm guessing not here for the pizza. The alien's massive hand shot out, snatching a military drone from the air. With a casual squeeze, it crushed the machine into scrap, then pressed the wreckage to the glowing glyph on its chest. The metal dissolved into liquid light, absorbed into its body. Superman's jaw tightened. Spider-Man's eyes widened behind the mask. Okay, he said under his breath. That's new. A roar erupted from the creature, so deep it seemed to shake the bones of the city. Glass shattered in 100 windows, car alarms wailed, and the ground trembled. Civilians scattered, but not all ran blindly. Some formed human chains to pull the trap from overturned cars. Others shielded children from falling debris. Superman noticed, and the sight anchored him. This was why he fought. Not just to stop monsters, but to protect the courage that rose in ordinary people when the world turned upside down. He darted forward, a blur of motion, and drove a fist into the alien's jaw. The impact cracked the air like thunder, sending the beast staggering back a step. But even as Superman pulled away, the damage healed, obsidian plates knitting together, red veins flaring brighter. Spider-Man seized the opening, firing a web line to the creature's ankle and yanking hard, using the momentum to vault upward. He landed on its shoulder, firing rapid webs across its face to blind it. The alien swiped at him with a hand the size of a bus. Spider-Man leapt clear, flipping through the air, but the heat from its breath singed the edges of his suit. Yeah, okay, you're not a morning person, he quipped, landing on a lamppost. Superman tried heat vision next. Twin beams of searing light lanced into the alien's chest. For a moment, the glyph dimmed, but then the red-black energy flared, bending the beams away like water around stone. The alien's eyes locked on him. In a voice that was more vibration than sound, it spoke. You are not the apex here. The words carried weight, as if spoken by something that had seen the rise and fall of civilizations. Spider-Man glanced at Superman. So it talks. That's bad, right? Before either could answer, the alien slammed both fists into the ground. The shockwave lifted cars, shattered pavement, and sent both heroes tumbling. Superman caught himself mid-air, scanning for casualties, while Spider-Man swung low to snatch a child from the path of falling debris. The alien didn't pursue. It turned toward the Hudson, its massive frame moving with surprising speed. It leapt, the impact sending a geyser of water skyward, and vanished beneath the surface. Boiling foam and dead fish rose in its wake. Superman hovered above the river, eyes narrowing. "It's not retreating," he said quietly. "It's repositioning." Spider-Man landed beside him on the pier, chest heaving. "Yeah, and I'm guessing it's not going for a swim to clear its head." Beneath them, the water churned, and somewhere deep below, the alien's red glow faded into the dark. The city was quiet for the first time since the rift opened, but it was the kind of quiet that comes before the next disaster. Superman looked toward the skyline, already calculating. Spider-Man followed his gaze, and for once, didn't crack a joke. The fight wasn't over. It had barely begun. The Hudson erupted in a column of steam as the alien burst from beneath the surface, water cascading off its armored frame and sheets. Its roar rolled through the city like a physical force, rattling steel and bone alike. Superman was already moving, a streak of color cutting through the haze, while Spider-Man swung low, weaving between collapsing cranes and the jagged remains of shattered piers. The creature's eyes locked on them both, molten and unblinking, as if it had already calculated the outcome of this fight. Superman hit first, a supersonic punch that cracked the air and sent ripples through the river. The alien's head snapped back, but the impact only seemed to feed it. Red veins flared brighter, and the glyph on its chest pulsed with a deeper, more dangerous light. Spider-Man used the moment to sling a web line to its knee, yanking hard to destabilize it, then vaulted upward, firing a rapid barrage of webs across its face. The strands hissed and dissolved on contact, eaten away by the same corrosive energy that had nullified Superman's heat vision. The alien's counterattack was instantaneous. It slammed a fist into the water, sending a shockwave that lifted both heroes off their trajectories. Superman recovered midair, but Spider-Man was flung toward a half-collapsed ferry terminal. He twisted, firing a web line to a bent steel beam, and swung back into the fray without missing a beat. "Okay," he called out. "So it's immune to everything except maybe bad breath." Superman didn't answer. His focus was absolute, scanning for any structural weakness in the alien's armor. But the readings were maddening. Its composition shifted constantly, as though it were rewriting its own biology in real time. The alien lunged, its massive hand closing around Superman mid-flight. The grip was crushing, the heat searing through even Kryptonian resilience. Superman's eyes flared, and with a burst of raw strength, he broke free, the force of his escape sending him hurtling backward into the side of a cargo ship. Spider-Man darted in low, firing webs to the ground and using them like elastic slings to launch himself upward. He landed on the alien's forearm, sprinting toward the glyph, but the creature reacted with terrifying speed. Its other hand swept across, swatting him from its arm and sending him crashing through the roof of a riverside warehouse. Dust and splinters filled the air, but Spider-Man emerged seconds later, coughing, bruised, and still moving. The alien's roar deepened, resonating through the water and into the city's foundations. Buildings groaned, glass rained down, and the river churned violently. Superman shot upward, then dove, striking the alien's chest with enough force to drive it back into the Hudson. The water exploded outward, drenching the docks and flooding the streets. But even submerged, the creature's glow burned through the murk, and a moment later it surged upward again, faster than before. On the shore, civilians scrambled to escape the rising water. Firefighters formed a human chain to pull the stranded from rooftops, while police redirected traffic away from collapsing bridges. Spider-Man swung in to snatch a woman from a sinking car, depositing her on a dry rooftop before leaping back toward the fight. Superman caught his eye mid-flight, and in that brief exchange, they both understood. This wasn't a battle they could win by trading blows. The alien's next move confirmed it. It slammed both fists into the riverbed, sending a seismic shockwave through the city. The ground rippled, cracking asphalt and toppling streetlights. A section of the Queensboro Bridge groaned and collapsed into the water. Superman darted to catch falling vehicles, while Spider-Man scrambled to web-sling survivors to safety. Every second spent saving lives was another second the alien used to adapt, to grow stronger. When they regrouped on a rooftop overlooking the river, both were breathing hard. Superman's suit was scorched in places, Spider-Man's mask torn at the jaw. "It's learning," Superman said, his voice low. "Every attack we make, it counters faster." "Yeah," Spider-Man replied. "And I'm starting to think it's not just here to smash stuff. It's harvesting, feeding." Before they could plan their next move, the alien leapt from the river, clearing the rooftops in a single bound, and landed in the heart of Midtown. The impact cratered the street, sending cars tumbling like toys. It turned its head slowly, scanning the skyscrapers as if selecting its next target. The glyph on its chest pulsed again, brighter than before, and the air around it shimmered with heat. Superman launched himself forward, slamming into the alien's side to drive it away from the densest part of the city. They crashed through the facade of an office tower, glass and steel raining down. Spider-Man followed, weaving through the debris, firing webs to slow the collapse of the building. Inside, the alien tore free of the wreckage, its movements now faster, more precise. It caught Superman's next punch mid-swing, twisting his arm and hurling him through 3 floors of concrete. Spider-Man landed on its back, planting a small device he'd scavenged from a destroy drone. It detonated in a burst of electromagnetic force, and for the first time, the alien staggered. The glyph flickered, its glow dimming for a heartbeat. Superman seized the moment, driving a double-fisted blow into its chest. The alien roared, the sound shaking the building's frame, but then the glyph flared again, brighter than ever, and the damage vanished. They were running out of options. The alien's adaptability was accelerating, its resilience bordering on invincible. And yet, in the chaos, Spider-Man noticed something, a faint delay between the glyph's pulse and the regeneration that followed. It was small, barely a fraction of a second, but it was there. Before he could share the observation, the alien leapt again, this time towards Central Park. The ground quaked under its landing, and the lush green was instantly scorched to black. Superman and Spider-Man followed, but the creature was already digging, its massive hands tearing into the earth with terrifying speed. Superman hovered above, scanning the ground. "It's going for something underground," he said. "Yeah," Spider-Man replied. "And I'm betting whatever it is, we don't want to have it." The alien's roar split the night, and a surge of red-black energy erupted from the hole, washing over the park in a wave of heat. Trees ignited, the air shimmered, and the city's lights flickered. Superman dove into the blast, forcing it back with sheer will, while Spider-Man swung in low, trying to reach the glyph again. The alien turned, eyes blazing, and for the first time, it smiled. Central Park was no longer green. The once lush expanse had been transformed into a scorched wasteland, the soil blackened and cracked, the air shimmering with heat. The alien stood at the center of the devastation, its massive frame hunched over a crater it had torn into the earth. The glyph on its chest pulsed in slow, deliberate rhythm, each beat sending a faint tremor through the ground. Superman hovered above, scanning the crater's depths with his vision, while Spider-Man crouched on the twisted remains of a lamppost, eyes fixed on the creature's movements. "It's digging for something," Superman said, his voice low but edged with urgency. "Yeah," Spider-Man replied, "and I'm guessing it's not looking for buried treasure." The alien's claws scraped against something deep below, producing a metallic screech that set their teeth on edge. A moment later, it hauled up a massive, cylindrical object, its surface etched with the same alien glyphs that glowed on the creature's body. The cylinder pulsed faintly, as if alive. Superman's eyes narrowed. "That's not from Earth." Spider-Man tilted his head. "You think? I mean, unless NASA's been hiding some really weird lawn ornaments." Before they could act, the alien pressed the cylinder to its chest. The glyphs on both flared in unison, and a surge of energy rippled outward, knocking both heroes back. Superman caught himself mid-air, but Spider-Man tumbled across the cracked ground before springing to his feet. The alien's voice rumbled through the park, deep and resonant. "This world's heart will feed the void." Superman's mind raced. The phrase wasn't random, it was a mission statement. He darted upward, scanning the object with every spectrum he could access. The readings were staggering. The cylinder was a planetary siphon, designed to tap into a world's core and drain its energy. Spider-Man swung closer, landing beside him. So, let me guess. If it finishes whatever it's doing, we're all toast. Worse, Superman said. The planet dies from the inside out. They needed answers, and fast. Superman activated his communicator, patching into the Watchtower's archives. Within seconds, a flood of data streamed in. Fragmentary records from deep space probes, intercepted transmissions, and ancient star maps. The alien species had been a warrior race from a galaxy on the brink of collapse. Their sun had gone dark centuries ago, and in desperation, they had engineered living weapons, beasts fused with adaptive technology, capable of surviving in any environment and harvesting planetary cores to sustain themselves. This one was the last. The others had been destroyed in battles across uncounted worlds. Alone, it had wandered the void until it found Earth. Spider-Man listened in silence, his usual quips absent. So it's not just a monster. It's desperate. Desperation doesn't excuse extinction, Superman replied, his tone firm. The alien moved again, planting the siphon deeper into the crater. The ground shook violently, and fissures spiderwebbed outward, swallowing benches and lampposts. Heat radiated from the hole, and the air filled with the smell of scorched earth. Superman dove, aiming for the siphon, but the alien intercepted him mid-flight, slamming him into the ground with bone-shaking force. Spider-Man seized the opening, firing a web line to the siphon and yanking hard. The device shifted slightly, but the alien's roar cut through the air, and it lashed out with a backhand that sent Spider-Man skidding across the park. Pain flared through his ribs, but he forced himself up. Okay, he muttered, definitely not a morning person. Superman rose from the dirt, his cape torn, his expression grim. We can't just pull out. It's anchored to the core. Then we break the anchor, Spider-Man said. The alien's glyphs flared again, brighter than before. The siphon's hum deepened, and the ground's tremors intensified. Buildings at the park's edge began to crack, their windows shattering. Civilians screamed as debris rained down. Superman shot upward, intercepting falling masonry and ferrying people to safety. Spider-Man swung through the chaos, pulling survivors from collapsing structures. Every second they spent saving lives was another second the alien used to strengthen its hold on the planet. When they regrouped, both were breathing hard. We need to hit together, Superman said. Full force, same target. Spider-Man nodded. Aim for the glyph. It's a control point. They moved in unison. Superman came from above, fists clenched, while Spider-Man swung low, using his momentum to launch himself directly at the alien's chest. The impact was explosive, Superman's blow driving the creature back, Spider-Man's strike sending a shock through the glyph. For a heartbeat, the light dimmed and the siphon's hum faltered. But the alien adapted. The glyph flared with a blinding pulse, and a wave of red-black energy erupted outward, hurling them both away. The siphon's hum returned, louder than before, and the ground beneath them began to glow faintly, as if lit from within. Superman pushed himself up, his vision swimming. It's accelerating. Spider-Man wiped blood from his lip. Then we're running out of time. The alien turned toward them, its eyes burning with something more than rage, resolve. It knew they understood its purpose now, and it no longer cared to hide it. The siphon's glow intensified, casting long, jagged shadows across the ruined park. Superman steadied himself, his gaze locked on the creature. Spider-Man adjusted his stance, web shooters primed. The air between them vibrated with the hum of the siphon and the unspoken knowledge that the next exchange could decide the fate of the planet. The park was an inferno. Flames licked the skeletal remains of trees, and the ground glowed faintly red from the heat radiating out of the crater. The alien stood at its center, the siphon now fully embedded, its glyphs pulsing in a steady, ominous rhythm. Each beat sent a low vibration through the earth, like the heartbeat of something far larger than the creature itself. Superman hovered above, cape whipping in the updraft, while Spider-Man crouched on the fractured roof of a nearby pavilion, eyes locked on the target. The air shimmered between them, thick with heat and tension. Superman's voice was calm, but edged with urgency. "We hit it together. No hesitation." Spider-Man nodded once. "Go big or go home, right?" They moved in unison. Superman dove from above, a streak of blue and red, while Spider-Man swung low, using a bent lamppost as a pivot to launch himself forward. Their strikes landed almost simultaneously, Superman's fists slamming into the alien's jaw, Spider-Man's momentum driving both feet into the glowing glyph. The impact was explosive, sending a shockwave through the park. For a heartbeat, the glyph dimmed and the siphon's hum faltered, but the alien adapted instantly. Its massive arm swept upward, catching Superman mid-flight and hurling him into the side of a burning oak. The trunk splintered, collapsing in a shower of embers. Spider-Man tried to disengage, but the creature's other hand closed around him, lifting him effortlessly into the air. The heat from its grip seared through his suit, and the corrosive energy began to eat at the web fluid canisters on his wrists. Superman recovered, streaking forward to deliver a blow to the alien's wrist. The grip loosened just enough for Spider-Man to twist free, flipping backward and firing a web line to the siphon. He yanked hard, but the device didn't budge. The alien roared, the sound vibrating through their bones, and slammed both fists into the ground. The shock wave rippled outward, toppling what remained of the park's structures and sending cracks racing toward the surrounding streets. Civilians screamed as the ground buckled beneath them. Superman shot upward, catching a collapsing section of pedestrian bridge before it could crush a cluster of evacuees. Spider-Man swung through the chaos, pulling two firefighters clear of a fissure that split the asphalt. Every rescue cost them precious seconds, and the alien used the time to channel more energy into the siphon. When they regrouped, both were breathing hard, sweat and soot streaking their faces. "It's accelerating," Superman said, scanning the siphon. "If it reaches full charge." "We don't get a second chance," Spider-Man finished. They didn't need to say more. Superman blurred forward, circling the alien at supersonic speed, creating a vortex of wind and debris that forced it to brace itself. Spider-Man used the distraction to scale its back, planting a scavenged EMP charge directly onto the glyph. The device detonated with a sharp crack, and for the first time, the alien staggered. The glyph's light flickered erratically, and the siphon's hum dropped in pitch. Superman seized the moment, driving a double-fisted blow into the alien's chest. The impact drove it back several steps, its heels gouging deep furrows in the scorched earth. Spider-Man leapt clear just as the creature lashed out blindly, its massive arm smashing through a stone fountain. But the victory was short-lived. The alien's glyph flared again, brighter than ever, and a wave of red-black energy erupted outward. Superman was driven into the ground hard enough to crater it, while Spider-Man was flung into the skeletal remains of a tree, the impact knocking the breath from his lungs. The alien straightened, its breathing steady, its eyes locked on them with cold calculation. It had learned their tactics, adapted to their weapons, and now moved with the confidence of a predator certain of its kill. The siphon's glow intensified, casting jagged shadows across the ruined park. Superman rose slowly, his cape torn and smoldering at the edges. Spider-Man pushed himself upright, one hand pressed to his side where the impact had left a deep bruise. They exchanged a glance. No words, just the shared understanding that this was the last stand. The alien lunged, faster than before, its massive hand closing around the siphon's core, as if to protect it. Superman intercepted, locking both hands around the creature's wrist and straining against its strength. Spider-Man darted in low, firing webs to its ankles, then anchoring them to the shattered remains of a concrete wall. The tension slowed the alien's movement just enough for Superman to twist its arm, exposing the glyph. Spider-Man didn't hesitate. He sprinted forward, leapt, and planted a second EMP charge directly onto the glowing symbol. The detonation was blinding, the shockwave knocking all three combatants apart. The alien roared, clutching its chest, the glyph's light sputtering like a dying star. Superman was on it in an instant, raining blows onto the weakened armor. Spider-Man joined in, targeting the joints and seams with precision strikes. The alien fought back with savage desperation, its movements less calculated now, more primal. It knew it was losing. The siphon's hum faltered again, and a hairline crack appeared along its surface. Energy leaked from the fracture in thin, writhing tendrils, dissipating into the air. Superman's eyes locked on it. That's our opening. They moved together, Superman lifting the alien bodily off the ground, while Spider-Man scrambled up its back to reach the siphon. With a final coordinated effort, they wrenched the device free. The alien's roar was deafening, a sound of rage and loss that echoed through the burning park. But before they could destroy the siphon, the creature slammed both fists into the ground one last time. The shockwave was massive, radiating outward in all directions, toppling what remained of the park's perimeter and sending a wall of dust and debris into the streets. Superman shielded Spider-Man from the brunt of it, but when the air cleared, the alien was gone, vanished into the smoke and ruin, leaving only the damaged siphon behind. They stood in the wreckage, chests heaving, the device between them humming faintly. It was cracked, unstable, but still active. Superman's gaze swept the horizon, searching for any sign of the creature. Spider-Man looked down at the siphon, then back at him. "This isn't over," Spider-Man said. Superman nodded once, his jaw set. "No, it's just changing." Smoke drifted in slow, curling ribbons over the ruins of Central Park, the air thick with the scent of scorched earth and molten stone. The siphon lay between Superman and Spider-Man, its once perfect surface fractured, leaking faint tendrils of red-black energy that writhed like living things before dissipating into the night. Around them, the city was a patchwork of chaos, sirens wailing in the distance, the glow of fires reflecting off shattered glass, the low murmur of survivors gathering their courage in the aftermath. Superman stood tall despite the soot streaking his face and the tears in his cape. His gaze swept the horizon, searching for any trace of the alien. There was none, only the lingering tremor in the ground, as if the earth itself remembered the weight of the creature's steps. Spider-Man crouched beside the siphon, one hand resting on his knee, the other hovering over the device without touching it. His mask was torn at the jaw, revealing a grin set to his mouth. "It's still active," Spider-Man said quietly. "Not much, but enough to make me nervous." Superman's eyes narrowed as he scanned the device. "It's unstable. If it ruptures, the energy release could level half the city." "Great," Spider-Man muttered. "So we can't keep it, can't destroy it, and can't exactly gift wrap it for the Smithsonian." They both knew the truth. This was more than a weapon. It was a beacon, a fragment of alien technology that could draw worse things to Earth if left unchecked. Superman lifted it carefully, the fractured glyphs flickering faintly in his hands. The hum was weaker now, but it carried a strange resonance, like a heartbeat out of sync with the world around it. Around them, first responders moved through the wreckage, guiding civilians to safety. A firefighter paused to look up at the two heroes, nodding once in silent gratitude before returning to his work. That small gesture seemed to anchor the moment, reminding them that, for all the destruction, lives had been saved. Spider-Man straightened, wincing slightly as he adjusted his stance. "You think it's coming back?" Superman didn't answer immediately. His gaze was fixed on the darkened skyline, where the smoke thinned into the night. "It's not finished," he said at last. "It left because it had to, not because we stopped it." The words hung between them, heavy with the knowledge that this battle had been only one chapter in a larger war. Spider-Man exhaled slowly, then glanced at the siphon. "So what's the plan? Hide it? Launch it into the sun? Bury it under a mountain?" "Somewhere it can't be found," Superman replied. "Not by it, not by anyone else." They moved together, carrying the device toward the waiting transport from the watchtower. Every step felt deliberate, the weight of the siphon more than just physical. As they reached the landing zone, Superman handed it off to the containment team, his expression unreadable. The night was quieter now, but it was the uneasy quiet of a city holding its breath. Spider-Man pulled his mask back into place, glancing at Superman. I was kind of hoping for a clean win. Punch the bad guy, save the day, go home. This feels different. It is different, Superman said. We've seen what it can do, and we've seen how fast it learns. Next time, it won't make the same mistakes. Spider-Man gave a short, humorless laugh. Yeah, well, neither will we. They stood there for a moment, side by side, watching the transport lift into the sky with the siphon secured inside. The glow of its engines faded into the clouds, leaving only the stars above, a reminder of how vast the universe was and how small even the strongest heroes could feel in the face of it. Superman finally turned toward the city, his voice low but certain. We'll be ready. Spider-Man nodded, his tone matching the resolve in Superman's. Yeah, we have to be. Far above, beyond the reach of human eyes, a faint pulse of red-black light flickered in the void, an answering signal to the siphon's final transmission. Somewhere in the darkness, something stirred.